Hello people, this is Vicer again, coming at you with yet another deck profile. This time I'm just giving you the updated version of my Exodidolls deck for the July 2015 format. And as you will notice, I've made a few tweaks and a few changes, significant changes, to the deck and how it runs. What I will say before I go into this is my original Exodidolls deck was based exclusively around getting through your deck as quickly as possible. And if there was a weakness with it, I'd say, because it was one of the early decks I came up with, it was very heavily reliant, or very heavily inspired by the Exodia Quasar deck, which meant I borrowed a few things from there, like White Elephant's Gift, that you won't see in this particular deck, because I feel it just doesn't work. It's too conditional a card to work. So I'll jump straight into this. So your 5 Exodia pieces, these are your only, well this is your only win condition for the deck. Yes, you can jump into some synchro monsters, but with Soul Charge you can't obviously have your battle phase the turn you activate it, and the way the meta is these days, your opponent will just absolutely destroy your field the next turn regardless. So Exodia is your win condition. 2 Battle Fader, not sure I was playing this in my previous build, but with this realization has come the realization that, you know, it does still take 3 turns to draw into Exodia, or more dependent on how you open. And as such, you need a get out from being destroyed, from losing all your life points entirely. And I feel Battle Fader is that out. I could run Swift Scarecrow just because Vanity's Emptiness is still a thing and there are other cards that stop summoning, but Battle Fader, being a dark monster, has greater synergy with the deck. Ooh, my phone. Has greater synergy with the deck, in particular with the Law of Darkness. So that's why it's 2 Battle Fader. 1 Mathematician. This is your 3rd Squamata. It sends a card from your deck to the graveyard, which can be one of the Exodia legs if that's the card you need and you can activate Dark Factory. But on the whole, it's going to be one of the Shaddolls monsters and get their effects going off. When it's destroyed by battle, you can draw 1 card, which is always a good thing, and it's a spellcaster, so works with Wonder Wand. 2 Shaddolls Beast, probably the best card in the deck in terms of monster draw. Send it to the graveyard and get 1 off, but really, if you can, you want to be bringing it to the field with Falco, using Falco's effect, setting it, and when it's your next turn, flipping it face up and getting those 2 cards drawn. So 2 Falco, when it's sent to the graveyard, special summon it in defense mode, yada 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 yada. Great card in the deck. It's a tuner as well, which does open up those synchro plays for you. Hedgehog is, I'm not sure this was in the other build, but Hedgehog, I've slowly grown to like this through having played my Shadow Pot 7 deck. How I work Hedgehog is, if it's in the hand, you're fucked. Unless you have Dark World or Hand Destruction. But ideally, you want to go Squamata, then send Hedgehog to the graveyard, and bring either Beast or Falco to the hand, and then get their effects off with either Dark World dealings or Hand Destruction. It's a deck thinning agent, but it keeps the Shaddolls effects going, it keeps them recycling, and as such, Hedgehog has now found his way into the deck. 2 Squamata, we've been over that, but when it's sent to the graveyard, send another monster that's a Shaddolls. Also, its flip effect can be good for just stalling that extra turn as well by putting the opponent onto the back foot, so that you don't have to maybe use a Battle Fader to stop your life points from going down to 0. A Law of Darkness, staple. 2 Dark Factory of Mass Production. That's to bring your normal pieces of Exodia to hand, which you will be dropping with various cards, one of which is Dark World Dealings. Draw 1, discard 1. Dark World Dealings and Hand Destruction are not costs. I don't know how many times I have to go over this. They are not costs. You can send your Shaddolls pieces to the graveyard and get their effects off with these cards. This is why this deck is so good. So 1 Foolish Burial. Again, this is another way of getting some Shaddolls effects going, and again you can always drop an Exodia Armor leg to the graveyard if you can then use Dark Factory and then maybe Hand Destruction both of them if you haven't used the second Dark Factory. Hand Destruction, send 2 cards, draw 2 cards, 1 Day of Peace, Pot of Duality. Yeah, I am playing Pot of Duality, I completely forgot I was playing Pot of Duality. because you're only special summoning when you've got Falco on board, I think you're okay with one. So I'll leave it at that. Soul Charge, this is your get out. If things go pear-shaped or the board that your opponent's got needs to be dealt with, then you can drop into some Synchro monsters or some of your Xyz if you really, really need to. But I tend to find I go into my Synchros more than I do my Xyz. 3 Upstart Goblins, because have some life points. Wonder Wand, MVP spell card, equip it to a spellcaster, send that card to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. Again, has synergy with the Forbidden One arms and legs, as well as all the Shaddolls and Mathematician. However, Wonder Wand is a cost, so you will not get your Shaddoll effects off when you play this, so do keep that in mind. 3 Legacy of Yatagarasu. I've brought this in instead of White Elephants. I said I found White Elephant clogged too heavily because it was so dependent on having one of the Exodia arms and legs in hand. Legacy, I feel, just works that little bit better. And if your opponent does have MST set, it's another card they can hit that isn't Reckless Greed, because you really, 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 really want to be getting off as many Reckless Greeds in a shorter space of time as possible to minimise the impact the lack of drawing has. 3 Reckless Greed, obviously. But I will caveat this by saying, do be super careful with Reckless Greed. If you play it too early and you have not got a means of continuing draw power subsequently, you are going to run out of cards real fast, and you're going to run out of life points even faster, because those 2 turns are crucial. So you need to have other draw cards in the hand, or at least have multiple Reckless Greed set. So that's the updated main deck. The side continues to be a hodgepodge of ideas, none of which I really bring into the deck because I'm happy with how Exodidolls is in this format. But Book of Moon, Double Summon, Monster Reincarnation, Raigeki, Bottomless. 3 defense draw, was trying this for a time, do not like it. Jar of Avarice, Jar's a really good card, but not with this deck. Solemn Warning, Threatening Roar, again, it's not a stall based deck. We are still trying to get through our cards as quickly as possible. So don't play Threatening Roar. I'd much rather play a trap card that gets me a card, because that card might be Battle Fader, and you hope to have some Shaddoll monsters on the field and have their effects going off, rather than wanting to waste a card in the deck being solely there for stall. Torrential does actually work quite well with Shaddolls, but not for me. And Chicken Game. I have got an alternate build that does run Chicken Game, just for the extra draw power, but in this particular format you see in front of you, I'm not playing Chicken Game, but it is a card you can side into. You could drop Yatta and just go into Chicken Game if you wanted to. And the extra is pretty much the same as before, so 1 Arcanite, 1 Sky Ascension, 1 Black Rose, which is the one I tend to go into more often than not. Actually, Arcanite is a really good card, and I've got a lot of love for Arcanite. It's like a mini Black Rose, because you can get off, you can destroy 2 cards. So when it's summoned, you add 2 counters to it, and you can pick 2 cards on the field to destroy. This is good if you've got a few Shaddoll monsters on the field face down, and you don't want to get rid of them. You want their effects to still go off. So Arcanite is like a mini Black Rose, but Black Rose is like, when the field's just too much to handle, break out this bad boy. Explosive Magician, he is Arcanite Magician Light, and generic boss monster number 362, Star Eater. And then the Xyz, you got Adrius, Artifact, Daigosto, Diamond Dire, Exiton Nightmare. I did put him in there, I think just to fill a spot more than anything. I'm sure there are more synchros I could find that are more relevant than this guy. Number 101, number 50, number 52, who actually isn't a bad card if you are looking to go into a stall mode, if you're looking to sort of tie up your side of the board and hold it for a turn or 2. Actually, Diamond Crab King's not that bad a card to go into. And he offers some aggression, some aggro as well, because you can flip him into attack mode, attach a card, and he gets 3,000 attack. So you can put your opponent on the back foot a little bit. So he can be a little bit of a beater if you are struggling. And Castell. So there you have it. This is the new and improved Exodidolls deck. Let me know what you think of it. I personally think this is a much, much better deck than the original version. I've been playing this on DN, and Dev Pro for a while, and I'm much happier with this. Yes, it still has its flaws, yes, it still has its weaknesses, but it opens up with many more better hands and can draw through the deck still at the same pace as the previous deck can, whilst being a little bit more competitive at the same time. Thanks very much for watching. Have a very good day. Bye bye.